In a small textile manufacturing company on the outskirts of Manchester, a series of terrifying supernatural events took place that would forever change the life of one man named Jack Foster. This story, which began in 2020, demonstrates how the veil between our world and the next can sometimes become dangerously thin during the quietest hours of the night. Jack had just been hired as a machine operator at a mid-sized textile factory owned by an older gentleman everyone respectfully called Mr. Thompson. The company operated around the clock with 3 shifts: morning, afternoon, and night. On Jack's first day, Mr. Thompson informed him, "Jack, starting today and going forward, you'll be assigned to the night shift from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Don't worry, you won't be alone. 2 other employees, Neil and Mark, will also be working that shift." Jack responded cheerfully, "That's fine, Mr. Thompson. I'm a bit of a night owl anyway, so the night shift suits me perfectly." In addition to explaining the shift schedule, Mr. Thompson advised Jack to always stay alert and not daydream while working. Advice Jack took as standard workplace safety guidance. After receiving instructions from Mr. Thompson, Jack began working night shifts alongside Neil and Mark. They quickly became friends, and Jack grew comfortable with his job. However, just as Jack was settling in, both Neil and Mark suddenly quit without explanation. Mr. Thompson promptly assigned 2 longtime employees, Andy and Peter, to replace them on the night shift. Everything continued normally until Jack's 6th month at the factory. One night, Jack was working with only Peter because Andy had called in sick. Though they were short-handed, they continued working at their individual stations as usual. All seemed normal until around 1:30 a.m. when Peter, who had been sitting at his workstation, suddenly ran over to Jack, his face pale with fear. "What's wrong? You look terrified," Jack asked. "I just smelled a strong jasmine scent near my chair," Peter replied, visibly shaken. "Jasmine? I don't smell anything from here." "Are you sure?" "Of course I'm sure. Why would I make this up? Come smell it yourself if you don't believe me," Peter challenged. Jack got up and walked over to Peter's workstation. When he arrived, he too caught the unmistakable scent of jasmine. "You're right. Where's this coming from?" Suddenly, Jack also felt uncomfortable. "This feels strange. Maybe we should leave early tonight." "I agree. Let's go." "I've got a bad feeling about this," Peter said. It's worth noting that the employees at this factory were paid daily wages based on the number of hours worked. If they completed their full shift from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., they would receive full pay. Otherwise, they would be paid only for the hours they worked. This detail would become important for Jack later. The 2 men headed to the parking lot where Peter said, "Jack, can you drive me home? I don't want to go alone." "I can't, Peter. My place is nearby, but we live in opposite directions. I don't want to drive all that way." "Don't you have your motorcycle?" "Yes, but I'm scared to ride alone." "Please, Jack, just this once." Jack reluctantly agreed. Peter's home was only about 2 miles away, so they each got on their motorcycles, with Peter leading the way and Jack following. As they approached a curve in the road, the headlight on Peter's motorcycle suddenly went out. At that exact moment, Jack smelled the jasmine scent again. Jack quickly scanned the surroundings, but saw no one else around them. The road was deserted, flanked only by dark trees on both sides. Alarmed by the recurring scent, Jack called to Peter. "Peter, let's hurry. Go faster." They sped to Peter's house, and upon arrival, Jack said his goodbyes. "All right, Peter, I've seen you home safely. I need to go now. Are you sure you want to leave now? You'll have to go through that curve again. Aren't you worried about smelling that jasmine scent again?" Peter asked. "I'll just have to brave it. It's only a smell, after all," Jack replied, trying to sound confident. Just then, Peter's mother came out of the house and addressed Jack. "Jack, stay here tonight. Don't go anywhere before sunrise." Surprised, Jack asked, "Is something wrong, ma'am? Did you smell jasmine earlier? And was the area deserted?" she inquired. "Yes, ma'am, we did. And it was very quiet there." Peter's mother proceeded to explain that a few months ago, a disturbing incident had occurred near the curve they had just passed. One night, two young men on a motorcycle saw a couple by the roadside, a man lying on the ground and a woman in a green jacket sitting beside him, both covered in injuries. The young men stopped to help. "Oh my God, miss. What happened? Were you mugged?" one of them asked. "No," the woman replied. "We had an accident. I was walking, supporting my boyfriend, but he couldn't continue and collapsed. Please help us, my head hurts terribly." "We'll get help." "Where's your motorcycle?" they asked. "Our motorcycle and belongings are over there," she said, pointing toward the trees. The young men asked, "So the motorcycle is damaged?" The woman replied in a chilling tone, "Yes, everything is damaged. My head is damaged too." When the young men looked back at her, they were horrified to see that both the woman and man had transformed. The man who had been lying on the ground was now standing beside the woman, his chest torn open and covered in blood. The woman was also bloodied, but most terrifying of all, she was headless, exactly as she had said. The young men fled in terror, crashing their motorcycle into a nearby house. The commotion woke the neighbors, including Peter's mother, who rushed to the scene. According to local gossip, the apparitions were of a couple from a neighboring village who had been planning to get married. Tragically, they had a fatal accident just 2 months before their wedding. No one witnessed the accident, but when they were found, their conditions were gruesome. The man's body was covered in blood with severe chest injuries, while the woman's head had been crushed, possibly by a large vehicle. Locals believed they had been hit by one of the trucks that regularly passed through the curve. After hearing this story, Jack decided to stay the night at Peter's house, leaving only after 7 a.m. the next morning. That evening, Jack returned to work as usual and thankfully experienced no supernatural occurrences. A few weeks later, however, Jack encountered another frightening incident. He arrived at work around 10:30 p.m., only to receive messages from both Andy and Peter saying they wouldn't be coming in that night. Jack would be working alone. While working, a heavy rainstorm began. The rain pounded loudly against the factory's metal roof, creating a cacophony of noise. Amidst the storm, Jack suddenly felt an eerie shift in the atmosphere. "Something doesn't feel right tonight," he thought. "I've worked alone during rainstorms before, but tonight feels different." Jack contemplated leaving early, but remembered he had a loan payment due the next day. The thought of missing that payment is scarier than any ghost, he reasoned, forcing himself back to work. Just as he resumed his tasks, from the corner of his eye, Jack spotted a figure entering through the garage door. Looking more carefully, he saw it was an older woman wearing a floral-patterned dress that was completely soaked as if she'd been caught in the rain. Her hair was disheveled, and she moved with a vacant, confused expression. Curious but wary, Jack asked from his seat, "Can I help you, ma'am?" When she didn't respond, Jack stood up and approached her. "Excuse me, ma'am, did you need something?" The moment these words left his mouth, the woman transformed horrifically. Her eyes turned completely black, her face became grotesquely distorted, and most terrifyingly, her body began to levitate off the ground. Jack ran into the bathroom, locked the door, and recited prayers in terror. "This is beyond traumatic," he thought. "I've never believed in ghosts before, but there's no denying what I just saw." Jack remained hidden in the bathroom until dawn when he heard Mr. Thompson calling his name. "Jack! Jack, where are you?" Jack emerged from the bathroom. "I'm here, sir. Where are the others?" "Are you alone?" Mr. Thompson asked. "They messaged me last night saying they couldn't come in." "Didn't they inform you?" "No, they didn't say anything to me. They've skipped work." "So you were alone here all night? Were you all right?" "Actually, sir, that's why I was in the bathroom. I've been there since last night. I saw an apparition, an older woman in the garage area. She looked terrifying, so I ran to the bathroom and didn't dare come out until I heard your voice." "My God, it's happening again?" Mr. Thompson sighed. "Even though I moved the factory to this new location?" "What do you mean moved, sir?" Mr. Thompson explained that employees at their previous location had frequently been haunted by the ghost of an older woman in a floral dress, the same figure Jack had just described. According to local rumors, the woman's spirit was restless because she had taken her own life. Initially, she had appeared to only a few employees, but over time, her appearances became more frequent and disruptive. Despite Mr. Thompson's efforts to cleanse the premises, nothing worked, so he had relocated the factory to their current location, hoping to leave the haunting behind. Concerned for Jack's safety, Mr. Thompson allowed him to leave early that day. When Jack arrived home, he immediately shared his experience with his wife and parents. They urged him to quit, but Jack was reluctant because of the good wages. "I'll keep working there," he told his family. "But I'll make sure I check if Andy and Peter are coming in before I go to work. If they're coming, I'll work. If not, I'll stay home." 2 days after this incident, Jack returned to work, only to learn from Mr. Thompson that Peter had resigned. Now only Jack and Andy remained on the night shift. After Peter's departure, the two began working together consistently, and interestingly, they experienced no further supernatural visitations when they were together. Then one day, Jack called in sick but deliberately didn't inform Andy. "He's often skipped work without telling me," Jack thought. "Let him see how it feels to be alone there." Meanwhile, Andy, unaware that Jack wouldn't be coming, found himself working alone that night. The next day, Andy told Jack about 2 terrifying experiences he'd had. First, while making coffee, he placed his full cup on his desk, but didn't drink it immediately. When he returned to it later, the coffee had mysteriously decreased to just a quarter of the cup, though there were no spills anywhere. Even more frightening, he saw a disembodied arm floating through the air, entering the factory from outside. Panicked, Andy closed his eyes, and when he opened them, the arm had vanished. He immediately fled to Mr. Thompson's house nearby. After that night, both Andy and Jack made a pact to always work together and to always inform each other if one couldn't make it to work. This strategy seemed effective. They no longer saw full apparitions when working together, though they occasionally still smelled strange scents or heard a woman crying. To this day, both Jack and Andy continue to work at the factory. Jack admits he's considered quitting many times due to the trauma, but the good wages, kind employer, and friendly coworkers keep him there. He hopes he's made the right decision for himself and his family. This story reminds us that there are things in this world that defy explanation, forces that exist beyond our understanding. Whatever one's beliefs, maintaining awareness and respect for the unknown seems prudent, especially during those quiet, dark hours when the boundary between worlds may not be as solid as we'd like to believe.